Social media. Aloha, everybody. Oh, it's like school. Okay. Silence the cell phone. If you got to have conversation, go outside. Um, so again, remind you, don't try not to roller skate on the gym floor. We're going to get scoldings. As much as you can, please stay off the gym floor. So that our parks department staff, we don't get scoldings because, it takes a lot of work to put the mat down. So we promised that we would be careful. But we're going to go ahead and start. We have a full agenda. So we will do our best to get through tonight. We want to remind you 211. We will always be here to remind you to call 211 for help on any of the needs that you have. And as always, you can go to mauirecovers.org and you can also text 988 if your area code begins with 808. So 808, text 988 if you need support. We have local crisis counselors available 24/7. Otherwise, here are the numbers to call directly or toll free. And these slides you can view on our mauirecovers.org. Or some of you are watching it on Facebook, so you just kind of like zoom in a little bit, okay? Want to remind you that kuhiniamaui.org is a place to go for information on all of our events coming up for Remembrance Week. Those events are offered as an option for folks you want to come, you want to gather, please come. If you don't want to go, it's not for you, totally okay. The idea is if you desire to be among others, please join us at any one of these gatherings. All 9 of the gatherings that we've been talking about, and it's located on kuhiniamaui.org, has come from ideas from within the community. So it wasn't a few of us from government sitting around a table with nothing to do coming up with ideas. This was a community saying, we want to go do a paddle out. We want to do the obon and bring back the Lahaina tradition. We want to gather on August 8th and be among others. We want to have a day of prayer and hope. So Mayor Bisson and the administration felt, we should support that whatever way we can. So all those events are community driven and designed as such. So please go there. If you have a question, email aloha@kuhiniamaui.org. On that website explains how we got the name Kuhinia Maui, which is from the last line of a chant about Maui. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. For those of you who are interested in a remembrance ride, we have filled all 750 seats. Plenty. So we just want to let you know that you start to see us posting that those seats on the Remembrance Ride have been filled. We have had them open for a couple weeks, but we're going to do our best. It's the first time, it's never been done. But our team Aloha will be here on Friday. If you signed up, we will be here for you and take you through an opportunity to see how the progress is going through the town. Your town. So mahalo for allowing us to give you that opportunity. Every last week of the month, if you're a homeowner in Lahaina, please attend the July homeowners webinar. Here's a QR code. It's also on your phone. If you look at the Facebook page, it'll be on Maui Recovers. This is going to be a good one. Well, they're all good, but this one's going to be pretty good. July 25th at 5:30. So this Thursday, temporary structures, permanent housing rebuilding, interim housing financial assistance. A lot of questions about this. So log into that webinar, ask your questions. The team's ready. They're going to do their presentations based on that. I also want to remind you we have, where's our faith table? Oh, they're not here. Oh, okay. We have faith bleachers. Usually they have a table. So if you, after the meeting, you want to connect with some of our folks to have a moment of prayer, please see them. Can you wave? They're right there. We also have crisis counselors here. They're around somewhere. Okay. Oh, Shannon over here in the middle, trying to look incognito. We want to tell you that this flyer is available tonight. This is CNHA Kaka'o Maui. They're going to present at tomorrow night's webinar for the homeowners. You know, the homeowners webinar I just talked about. So they're going to talk about their program that provides up to $15,000 per household to cover pre-development costs. Your needs, your surveys, permit fees, architects, engineer fees. So you want to learn more about CNHA's program. You can also go to helpingmaui.org. But this flyer you see on the screen, we have printed out tonight. So we'll have them at the door as you leave. So please grab one if you want more information from for Kaka'o Maui's pre-development grant. For Kohua Mill Camp property owners, we talked about this before. We're here to give you a little bit more information in terms of the announcement of the dates and times. If you are a property owner in Kohua or the Mill Camp neighborhoods, you're invited to attend one of these 3 dates to come and talk story with our planning team. This is August 1, August 3rd, and August 3rd. On that Saturday, you can come 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can also attend Thursday at 5:30, Pauhana time. It's going to be at the Office of Recovery at the Lahaina Gateway. So this is for folks in Kuhua and Mill Camp neighborhood. They're going to talk about roadway rebuilding information, what's being worked on in Kuhua and Mill Camp areas, and what the property owners can do now. And our team will be there for an open discussion. So some of you know, here's a QR code to get more information and to let us know you're coming. This is born out of, I think Councilmember Paulton has been mentioning it as well. Our team is aware of it. Those residents have come forward and asked us for this. We are prepared to do that. So we'll be there at the Lahaina Gateway office, okay? Tonight, you're gonna hear from FEMA, from Allison. She's gonna talk about the rental assistance and a few other pieces of information, including insurance. You'll hear, of course, from our favorite colonel about debris removal. Wahikuli cesspool, we'll hear from Jake Freeman here. Jordan is back from our county Department of Public Works. He's the director. He'll be sharing a little bit about our partial closure of Lahaina Luna Road. And we welcome our team tonight talking about the damaged structures and how they're being shored and braced. And then, of course, from our state partners here tonight talking about interim housing. Last week, our planning director, Kate Blystone, was here telling you that she'll be back and coming here to give you the information and the input, the mana'o we got from all of the planning workshops, the neighborhood planning workshops. So she's here tonight to deliver that to you. And of course, we'll do our Q&A. I'm going to turn this over to Mayor Bisson, and then we'll carry on with our meeting.
Thank you, Lahaina, Ohana. I just want to thank our advisory team members here tonight. I see Kim, I see Earl, I see Kaliko. I don't hear Lori. Oh, sorry. She might, I think she's on a trip, I think, or about to. But anyway, I was just teasing Lori. Yeah, you guys don't know the texts that go back and forth with Lori and us. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I also wanted to point out your Senator, Senator McKelvey is also here. Thank you for being here, Senator, as well. I'm only going to report on one thing so that you guys can hear the real experts talk about the topics you are more interested in. The Maui Planning Commission met yesterday. They decided in favor of us, our administration, which was to pass the bill on to the County Council, along with the Molokai and Lanai Planning Commissions as well. That was a hard task. Hi, Laurie. They was talking about you, Laurie, before you were here. They did pass the bill. They're gonna have some recommendations, but I think that's the right a step in the right direction. That all 3 planning commissions have recommended this so that we can move to the next step. You know, there'll be lots of more discussion, and you know, we'll see how it works. But we'll appreciate all of you who have been participating in all of those hearings. But I'm really, really appreciative of our commissioners who have taken on the task and put all the work in. So I'm just grateful that that is the only news I have to report for me tonight. And again, you'll hear from the rest. But I will at this time introduce your council member, Tamara Paulton, to share her message.
Aloha mai kako. I'm right on the X, so aloha. So the 5-year amount for temporary structure permit passed last Friday. So I was informed by Wendy Talmoto that she'll go back and reissue the 180-day permits. If applied for the 100, a 3.5-year permit, and then if you apply for an extension, you automatically get another 1.5 years. So stoked that that passed. I don't know who was watching the Planning Commission for the about 11 hours yesterday, but it was really a yeoman's task with no AC and a packed room. So thank you very much. Today in the Housing and Land Use Committee, we talked about some of the criteria that we wanted to see in any kind of financial economic analysis that the council RFPs out. So they had a basic template of the things they want. It's, if you wanted to see what that is, it's on meeting mauicounty.us/agendas. Today's, which is the 24th Housing and Land Use Committee meeting, and go to meeting details, correspondence from the chair. And we just added on some other things like how the Planning Commission talked about at the end, you know, to factor in social situations, environmental situations, and it's not all purely about money, but also quality of life. They asked to look at jobs that would be impacted. We asked to look at existing vacancies and so on and so forth. So we're not sure when we're gonna get it from the Planning Commission, but it's in the works. And maybe when Kate comes up, she can, I know member Sugimura was trying to ask her, but it wasn't part of the agenda. So that's pretty much what we've been up to at the council side. And this week I've been staying at the Office of Recovery, the Lahaina Disaster Research Center. When I'm in committee meetings, I stay in the closet because I'm in the meeting and I can't talk story. And I have an aide at the desk. It's really nice. The AC is good there. And the council chambers is shut down for the public until after the election because there are live ballots. In previous years, prior to I think 2020, it wasn't mail-in voting and all of that. It was show up at the polls that day. Nowadays, they'll mail. Most people should have gotten their ballots already by this week. And if you didn't, you might want to call the county clerk 270-7749. But we are not allowed on the 8th floor. The council members are locked out. So no question about us tampering with live ballots. And so if you want to come in person, we're using that same Maui planning conference room that the Planning Commission used that apparently doesn't have AC. And so I'm taking the meetings at the Lahaina Recovery Center because the AC works good over there. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Allison Fendler here with FEMA, and I'm here to talk to you about what you can do if you are exhausting your insurance funds and looking for FEMA support. So we heard you last, I'm going to go forward a couple slides and I'll come back to this first too. Okay, sorry, great. We heard you guys last week asking some questions and talking about folks who have been using insurance and your insurance policy funds are now being exhausted, or you're getting close to exhausting those insurance funds. So we wanted to talk to you about what funds could be available from FEMA moving forward. So first off, you all know this, but we're not looking to duplicate benefits, which is why we ask you to exhaust all of those insurance funds first before you start to apply for FEMA assistance. We want to make sure that you have that seamless application process, though, so you can start gathering documents, and I'll kind of outline some of the documents that we're looking for you to gather if you are in this position. So while we can't duplicate funds, we can have some options for you, and here are the options. First off, it's initial rental assistance is going to be one of the options that you could apply for, and then following on to that, it's continued temporary housing assistance. Okay, so if you're that person, you've got an initial, or you have the insurance funds that you're exhausting, and you want to apply for FEMA assistance, first you're going to have to appeal the initial rental assistance. There's two elements to do that application and appeal process. Submitting your insurance policy page detailing the alternate living expense loss of use coverage, as well as the proof of exhaustion of those insurance funds. Then we get to the initial rental assistance. Okay, so in initial rental assistance, it's 2 months of rent at fair market rate, at 100% fair market rate. So if you are applying for this initial rental assistance and you get accepted, then you'll get that first 2 months straight out the gate. After that, we have continued temporary housing assistance. That looks like 3 months worth of additional assistance in 3 months in increments up until February 2025. This is a secondary application process, so we're going to go through that and the elements there. I should mention the continued temporary housing assistance could be up to 175% of the fair market rate. Okay, so into the continued temporary housing assistance. So you've exhausted your insurance, you've applied for and exhausted your initial rental assistance. Now you're going to apply for the continued temporary housing assistance, which is continued rental assistance. Here are the conditions of eligibility, as I mentioned, awarded and exhausted that initial rental assistance those first 2 months. That could look like your security deposit and your first month's rent. It could be your first and last month's rent if that's what's in your lease. Those are the kind of different things, or it could be the first and second month's rent. Then we're going to ask you to create a separate application for this continued temporary housing assistance. There's some overlap from the initial rental assistance application that you did. And here you can see some of the documents that are required, including being able to prove that you've exhausted that initial rental assistance. I've already talked about that slide. All right, so for those of you in this situation who are looking for assistance, we have people in person still for FEMA. We have them both in the Lahaina Gateway from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. We also have them in Central Maui at the CNHA office from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Additionally, you can call our 1-800 number. That's 1-800-621-3362. We are open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, Monday through Sunday. And we have language services available. And also today, we have folks over here in the corner. I'll have them raise their hands. And they can help you with your application, not just your initial rental assistance application or your continued temporary housing assistance application, but other elements of your application with FEMA as well. So please use them today if you are looking for that assistance. But the key here is that we're trying to ensure that those of you who have been exhausting your insurance are looking at these other options, and that you will stay in that rental property that you're at and looking for additional funds from FEMA. So I'll be here later to answer any questions, but that's our short presentation on rental assistance. Thanks. Next up is Colonel Swenson.
Thanks, Allison. Aloha. It's good. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, how's everyone doing? Good, good. Okay. So first, I just wanted to clarify to Mahina. She said I'm her favorite colonel, but I'm also the only colonel here. So does that mean I'm also the least favorite colonel? I don't know. Anyway, I'll go with that. Also, I just wanted to say I raised my hand earlier when Councilwoman Paulton asked who had been on the Planning Commission call last night. So I just in full disclosure, I spent 2.5 wonderful hours last night listening to the entire session, and I was really blown away by how much interaction and how much good discussion this community has had around some really tough topics. The thing that came to me was transparency. You people come every week, and you want transparency. You want the facts. So some of you are wondering and maybe a little bit making fun of me because I brought a poster. But on this poster, I just want to show this. This shows the status of debris removal here in Lahaina town. And I know there's a couple big red blocks down here. The red is bad. That means we're not done that yet. But everything else is good, except for these little blocks here. That's an anomaly. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But if you look, you have to look really, really hard to see red. And that's because we have cleared debris from 97% of the residential properties in Lahaina town. And so that's what this here reflects. So in the theme of transparency, I just wanted to be transparent and tell you what the numbers are. Again, we're chasing 1,399 residential properties, and as of 20 minutes ago, we have cleared 1,353 lots, which is, as I said, 97%. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Of those, we've completed, that's capital C, 85% or 1,187 residential properties. That paperwork has been turned back to the county, back to FEMA, and if it's not already on the website, you should be able to find that information on the website, get your closeout packet, and join those, some of which are in this room, those community members that have started to rebuild your homes in Lahaina town. So really, really excited about that. And for those math folks in the room, that's 46 properties that we haven't cleared primary debris from on the residential side, and 212 that we haven't turned back to the county on the residential side. So if you're in one of those smaller numbers I mentioned, just hang with us. We're working as fast and safely as we can to get those properties turned back so that you can join the movement here to get your homes rebuilt. Now I'm going to shift over to commercial because I know residential is really important, but this is Lahaina town, right? And the commercial property is also important to getting this community back on its feet. Again, we're chasing 159 total lots. We have cleared, as of a few minutes ago, 66 of those lots, which is 42%. And we have completed 46, and which is 29% that have been turned back over to the county. Again, those are fantastic numbers. I've mentioned it before, commercial, it's a smaller denominator and the numerator goes up at a slower rate. We're currently working at King Kamehameha III school, the previous school, and it's a huge lot, and we have to be very, very respectful out there given the things of cultural significance that are in the ground. And so it just takes us a little bit extra time to get through some of those, but we are moving really at record pace here when you compare this disaster response to others that the Corps and FEMA have done. And I attribute that to your ability to be engaged in this process, to help us solve these problems and to be supportive of us. I also want to give a shout out to all of our contractors that are working really, really hard on the streets of Lahaina to do this hard work day in and day out, 7 days a week. They are truly the force, the brute force behind this clearance effort. And I'm sure that many in this room know them, some of them personally, because we hired a lot of them from Lahaina town. So I just want to give a big thanks to them. And I'll just close by saying, our housing site that we're building, Kilohana, is making great progress up on the high ground. I was up there today checking on progress, And it's really exciting. And I know that's one small bite out of a big housing shortage, but it's a meaningful step. It will be a meaningful step to getting residents into longer term, temporary but longer term housing where you can start to rebuild your lives while you also rebuild your homes in Lahaina town. I appreciate your time. I look forward to any questions at the end. Thank you.
Aloha. My name is Jacob Freeman. I'm with CDF Engineering. And in conjunction with the EPA, we're working in the Wahikuli House Lot subdivision inspecting cesspools. For those of you who have not heard, the EPA is funding this effort. We just need some more rights of entry. We've got 75 out of an anticipated 175 of the lots up there. We've already inspected 50. This program runs through the end of the year, but the faster we can get that done for you, we can get you that certification as part of your rebuilding effort. So please come see me if you don't know about the program afterwards. If you don't know what you have in the Wahikuli House Lot subdivision, whether it's septic or cesspool or something else, we found all kinds of things there. Please come see me. I'll walk you through it. And thank you all for your time. Apparently I have some slides. Maui Recover's website has some more information on this program, so please check it out. Lots of resources there. And just the one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aloha Maui families. Erin Wade with the Department of Management. Aloha. Great to see you all. Checking in today, I'm part of the debris task force, which Jordan Molina leads. And of course, I was helping with rights of entry. I asked him, once you folks got to 0 ROEs needed, what else do you need from me, Jordan? And he said, can you help with historic structures? So here today to give you some update and information about historic structures and what's happening. Next slide. Oh, and also let me say, I'm here with Theo Morrison from Lahaina Restoration Foundation. Let's give her a round of applause, please. Yeah, thank you. And Emily Benz is here and she'll be available to answer questions. She's with FEMA's EHP section, that's Environmental Planning and Historic Preservation. Okay, yay, thank you. So, and this is also thanks to Mark Wingate, who left last week, but he helped us to get funds to be able to shore and brace remaining historic structures. Anything that was still standing, we were allowed to go out and assess. Some things, as you're about to see, we could not. And some things got a structural review. And so we'll go through and share with you the status, because I know many of you have signed up for the Remembrance Ride. And I just want you to be prepared as you go in. Sometimes it's easier to see things in small doses. So we'll talk through the buildings that are still within the historic districts, just to kind of give you a sense of what's still there and can come back. Next slide. Okay, so the toughest one first. Several buildings were lost. These include the Na'aikane building, which adjoined Malu'ulele Park, the Wohing Temple Museum, the Pioneer Inn, Lahaina Hongwanji, Lahaina Shingong Mission, Holy Innocents Church, Ichiki Store, Kawagachi Fish Market, and the Lahaina Jodo Mission. These are all not able to be restored, or there was nothing remaining to restore. Next slide, please. If you have been through the district, there are buildings, and you will see there are some walls still standing. The Army Corps of Engineers stepped in and allowed and helped us to do structural assessments on many of these. There are 4 that had structural assessments that are not able to be restored, despite having something still vertical present. This includes Wyola Church, Pioneer Mill Office Building, Bank of Maui Building, and Kamehameha III School. Okay, thank you. Next slide. And then there's two properties that have standing walls, and demolition was elected. One of those is the Lahaina Library. And we can bring, can you change the slide, please? Thank you. The Lahaina Library. And then the other is the Spring House. And I'm gonna let Theo share a little about the Spring House and then about the more positive side.
First, I'd just like to introduce, I have a couple board members here today. So Connie Sutherland and Penny Wakita are right here. They're on the board of Lahaina Restoration. And sorry, Leslie. Okay, the Spring House. This building is possibly the oldest standing building in Lahaina. It was built in 1823. And it's not a Lahaina Restoration Foundation property. It just came to our attention because it was slated for demolition. So we thought that it could probably be saved. It's not very big. You might not know where it is, but it was behind the ABC store in the Wharf Cinema Center. And if you went up the back way of the into the wharf, by where the sandal guy was, and there was a bike rack, and there was a big oval arched kind of door. That was the Spring House. It's a small building, and it was built by Reverend Richards to protect the spring, which was there. And the spring supplied water for all of Lahaina town. And we put a plaque years ago right on Front Street that had a little story about one of the Baldwin daughters who talked about how at night she could hear, when the whaling ships were in town, she could hear the kegs being rolled up from the ships over the cobblestones, it used to be cobblestones, all the way up to the Spring House, and they'd fill their kegs of water and take them down. It's also the way Lahaina got mosquitoes because the whaler, some idiot whaler, dumped out the old water and there were mosquito larvae, and then that was the end of that. So anyway, there's a family, the Len family owns this property, and they own that building. And so when we heard that it was slated for demolition, we set up a meeting with the Len family just to talk about it. And basically, it turns out they really didn't want to demolish it, but they really didn't know all the options. So they would like to restore it. They just want to be assured that the actual building is structurally sound. So it turns out we're having some structural engineers come in for another project, which is the Pioneer Mill smokestack, which I'll talk about later. And we are going to ask them to come and look at the building, look at the Spring House, and assess whether it is viable to be restored. And we think it is. We think it has a cement, it looks like it's on a cement slab, and the cement slab is compromised, but the fact of the matter is it's not on a cement slab because they didn't have cement slabs in 1823. So later, in the early 1900s, someone poured cement inside to make a nice floor, and they poured cement outside to make a nice path. So if you were just kind of looking from afar and you looked at it, you would think it was on a cement slab, but it's not. So whether that's compromised or not doesn't matter because the building is not sitting on the cement that you see. So probably more than you needed to know, but that's how it ended up on the demo list. So we caught that mistake, and now we're talking with the family, and we'll be bringing in a structural engineer to assess that. It is up to the family to decide what to do, but they have indicated that if they can restore it, it's not a big building. It's 20 by 30 or something like that. It's a small, but it's really nice little building, and it's a really important part of Lahaina's history. So, oh, okay. So this is the Baldwin home, and let me just give you a little information about Lahaina restoration. So we've been around for 61 years. We've restored most of the buildings that we're going to have to restore again. So not what we plan to do, I'll tell you, but we have done it. So just when we go through all these buildings, I always start at one end of town and work up because I can remember that in my head. So the Siemens Hospital, we restored that in the 80s. And then this building here is the Baldwin home, the Master's Reading Room, and what was Village Gallery. We restored, those were the first buildings we ever restored. So we restored those like in the 70s. And then the old Lahaina prison was also in the 80s. This was all when Jim Lucky was the executive director, if you knew him. And then Hali Aloha, which is on Luakini Street, we restored that one. And we also restored Halipa'i, which was the only building from the 1800s that was not at all affected by the fire because the fire started below it. Okay, so back to the Baldwin home. So after the fire, we had, yeah, typical. We've been working with an architect to do some, we just repainted all the woodwork on this building, which is all the lanais, all the windows. It was really, really beautiful. And we were going to restore the roof. We were going to repair the roof. So all these things were being planned. And then the fire happened. And the architect we were working with was adamant that we get this shored up quickly. So we opted to do it. We worked with the architect who had a structural engineer. And this is shoring. So this is what the prevents the walls from falling down, because these kind of buildings, they're not like modern buildings. They don't have bracing and stuff. They're held together by the roof and the floors, all of which burned. So there's nothing, these are just rocks, you know, standing up. So that's what this shoring does. And these big square boxes things right here, that's full of cement, because this is a historic district, you're not supposed to dig. So the idea that holds the walls, pulls them out a little bit. So there are a lot of cracks in the building, but it's still standing. So, okay, what's next? Oh, that was it? Oh.
Do you want to tell what the list was? Did you want to say everything that's going to be braced and shored?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the buildings that are going to be braced and stored are the old Lahaina store, and that we know that today is Fleetwood's, the old Lahaina prison, and at the old Lahaina prison, we're talking about the perimeter wall, which is all coral block, Hali Aloha, the old Lahaina courthouse, the Baldwin home, which you already saw, the Master's Reading Room next to it, the Siemens Hospital. And what else am I supposed, oh, am I supposed to talk about the smokestack? Oh. Okay, so the smokestack, you might have read something in the paper. There was some, okay, the smokestack was built in 1928 by the Pioneer Mill. Lahaina, when the mill was torn down the mill closed in 1999, and I believe it was torn down, the actual mill structure was torn down around 2006, 2007. And at that time, Kanepai Land Management, which is the former Pioneer Mill, they wanted to tear down the smokestack also, but the community objected to that. So Lahaina Restoration stood up and said, well, we'll fix it, we'll restore it. So that's how this whole thing started. And it took us a couple years, but we got all the permits and did all that stuff. And we restored the smokestack in 2010. And that's when we started holding the plantation days, if anybody went to that. And, you know, it's not a working smokestack, but it's a smokestack. And we have the brick walkway around the smokestack where people bought bricks. And you can't see it in this picture, but there's a couple locomotives there. And it's a really nice site. And a lot of people really like it. And it just sat there and it was fine. So then earlier in 2023, before the fire, we noticed some cracks at the base of the smokestack. But all of our buildings get cracks. We don't get too alarmed about stuff like that. And then the fire came along, and of course, everybody got really busy with other stuff. So the then Kaanapali Land Management came over and inspected the property, and they noticed the cracks. And so they brought in a structural engineer, and that structural engineer was a little alarmed with the cracks. And so then we brought in another structural engineer, and he was also a little alarmed with the cracks. And then the Army Corps looked at it, and they didn't think it was any big deal, I was told. And then, and now we are bringing in a structural engineer from Oahu, one of the bigger structural engineering companies, WJE, and they are going to actually do like core samples and really test the strength of the concrete in the building. So it's made out of concrete and rebar, and it's covered with a rubberized coating, which is something that we put on it. So it will, next week, there's a first inspection that the WJE is going to do. And then if they think there's more to do, they'll come back and do a more extensive thing. But right now, it's from what we're being told by WJE, it's not as bad as the other two structural engineers said it could be, but I don't know. So right now it's 2-2. 2 say could be compromised, and 2 structural engineers say it could be fine. So, but that's what we're doing right now. So we're checking into it, and yeah, that's.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Jordan Molina, Director with Department of Public Works. Oh, you got the clicker? Oh, okay. So as a result of being put on notice that there's concerns about the integrity of that smokestack, one of my responsibilities as Public Works is to address unsafe structures that we become aware of and also protect our roadways. So this smokestack with its height at 225 feet falls clear across Lahaina Luna Road if it should fall. And so because at this point, be cautious about the situation, we proactively decided to close Lahaina Luna Road at that bottom segment from Kuhua down to the highway until we can get better sense of what our situation and our path forward is with the smokestack. So yeah, you guys just got the best timeline from Theo as far as what those next steps look like with bringing in that firm to do that next level of evaluation on the structure. Yeah, so I kind of went over all this stuff, but yeah, that's really all I came to talk to about today. We are in contact with both Kaanapali Land and Theo folks to coordinate, on the next steps, to figure out timelines on when we can get a better sense of the situation. In the meantime, we are looking at our other options for alternative access, which do tie to some of the projects and roadways we're looking at for the additional egress routes for evacuation from the neighborhoods. So notably that Kohua Street connection out to Keawe, and then Dickinson Street, Mauka, from its current location at the highway. All right. Thank you all for being here.
Aloha, everyone. Joe Campos with Department of Human Services for the state. Just going to give you a brief intro before Sherry comes up and talks to you about our housing program and the application for it. So if you had a chance, or as you go out and look up towards Mauka, you'll see that the project is coming along. Kalai'ola will be a place of peaceful recovery. And I just want to thank Homemade, CMND, and Goodfellow Brothers for really pushing the project along and making sure that we can provide, a safe place for people to go through their recovery. Thank you. So Sherry is going to talk to you about the application process. She's with our consulting group, Tidal Basin, that we work with at the state. And what I want to do before I hand over the mic to her is really encourage those of you who know of someone that needs housing because they've been impacted by the wildfire or have been impacted yourself, apply. Because you don't know if you qualify, let us make that determination. Okay, so don't think, oh, okay, I don't meet one aspect, so I'm not going to apply. Please apply, because we want to make sure that if you qualify and are eligible, that you do have a place to recover. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Sherry. Thanks.
That's for me. I guess I'm supposed to stand on this X, so I'm going to do that. That's going to be kind of hard. Aloha kako. My name is Sherry Kajiwara, and yes, I work with Joe. And I want to say Joe has been the catalyst that kept this project going all this time. Little bit about me, though. Well, Joe. Thank you, Joe. I retired last June after 32 years as a government administrator. And I was looking forward to staying home, sleeping till 9, playing with my plants, baking, and then the fire happened. And I thought, no way I can stay home. So I came out of retirement. To help. And I cannot believe it's been almost 1 year. But you guys have been through so much. But that's why I am so excited to stand before you today to share the state's newest development for interim housing. This program is called Hawaii Interim Housing Program. Very creative, yeah. Also known as HIP. So you will be hearing a lot about HIP. There are 2 sites right now that are under HIP, the HIP program, and we hope there'll be more sites in the future, but we're going to work towards that. So first of all, exactly what is HIP? There have been other housing programs. There's been American Red Cross. There has been FEMA programs with federal money. Each has their own criteria. We want you to understand that this program is a state subsidized or state sponsored temporary housing program that's meant to help Maui residents who have been displaced by the wildfire. We've set our own criteria, and that's what I'm here to share with you today, and also how you apply. So I want you to know that HIP is for eligible disaster survivors who are not yet in temporary housing. And it's also for those that are in temporary housing, but that's going to expire soon and you need a new place. Those are the people that we are trying to help with this program. When you apply, and if you are selected and you are provided with a unit, it's going to be at no cost to the survivor. That includes your utilities. And right now we are looking that funding will support the survivor until summer of 2025. So that's going to be a really, really nice thing for many of you. I do want to point out that just because you apply doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get into the program. There has to be an eligibility process to make sure that the people who qualify are the people that get the units. I'm going to go over a little bit about that now. First of all, what sites are available? There are 2 sites right now. As Joe mentioned, there's Kalai'ola, which will have 450 units when it's done. But I need you to know that Kalai'ola is still under development and it will not be ready for another month, maybe the end of August. However, Hale'olaie has 150 units It's close to Kihei. You know, some people ask me, Hale'olaie, you mean I gotta go Honolulu by PCC? No, this one is in Maui and it is near Kihei. And the exciting thing about this site is people are moving into it today. It's opened and we are welcoming our first tenants into this building today. And that's really exciting. And we hope to fill it up very, very soon. So when you apply, and if you are approved, then one of the HIP team members will contact you to find out what are your needs? What are you looking for? How can we serve you? And then we will assign you or match you with a unit. Now, the matching will take place depending on the timeline. The timeline of the matching take place as when the units are available. So there may be some delay, but we do encourage, if you are offered a unit that meets your needs, please take it, because we don't want you to be waiting too long, and it may take time for more units to become available. Next, I want to talk about who's eligible for the HIP program. This is our criteria. Number one, you have to have had your primary residence in Maui at the time of the disaster. That's the first one. The second criteria is you either have to think of this physical or economic. Physical, either your house or your residence was destroyed in the fire, or if you live somewhere else, but you worked or had a business in the area that was affected by the fire and you couldn't afford your rent or your mortgage, this program is meant to help you as well. So that's the criteria. What you will be asked to provide. You need to provide proof of identity because we need to do a background check on anyone over 18. So be sure that you are able to provide your proof of identity. But one thing I want to point out, unlike other programs, we do not require proof of citizenship. So while other programs require that, that is not a criteria for the HIP program. So if you don't have proof of citizenship, we still encourage you to apply because we'd like to help everybody. Thank you. Also, you're going to have to prove that you resided in Maui at the time of the fire. So please be ready for that. Other things that you may be asked to provide is proof of loss of income. If you're saying that I lost my job, I lost my business, and I need help because I can no longer afford where I was living. You need to show some kind of proof of that. And we also ask for any documentation that you are getting resulting or relating to the wildfires. This might be insurance, third-party assistance, or anything that you are getting. We are going to ask for that information. Now let's go over how do I apply. It is very, very simple, and we're trying to find ways to help you be successful. There's a website. Now that's a really long website. Before you leave, I have my team over there with papers. Take a flyer. There's a QR code that you can scan that'll take you directly to the website, or it'll give you the website on there. So please be sure to take one of those. If not for you, take it for somebody that you know might need this assistance. The next way is by phone. This phone number is dedicated to help those that want to apply for HIP, have questions about HIP, or just need to know, what do I need to do? That phone number is manned Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on Saturdays from 9 to 5. So that's 7 days a week that we're here to offer assistance. If you need language help, that's available. And if you have a speech or hearing disability, there's capabilities to assist with that as well. If you're not techie and you don't want to go online, and you don't want the phone and wait, right? You want to go talk to somebody. We have locations that people can come in and get in-person assistance. Royal Lahaina Resort. That one will have standard business hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, for those people that want to stop by and get some help on applying. If you work during the daytime and you can't make those day hours, we are offering application assistance at these dates, Monday the 29th, Tuesday the 30th, and Wednesday the 31st in the evening hours for those people that that works a little bit better for. And if you need additional locations, because we're always trying to find out where do we serve you the best. So if there are additional locations that we could offer our services, contact our call center and we might be able to find additional areas for you. Now, this is just a list. You know the application form? I want you to know what to expect on that application form. It's kind of like a two-parter. The first part, you need to prove that you're eligible for the program. And this is what you need to fill out on the application. Proof of identity. Again, citizenship does not apply. Proof of residency at the time of the disaster. Proof of disaster impact, whether you lost a home or you lost a job or a business. Any other assistance that you're receiving, like insurance or FEMA funding, or again, third-party assistance, and information on your current housing situation. Where are you staying now? Once you fill out that helps to determine your eligibility. Please go ahead and fill out the second part regarding placement. We want to know who's in your household. How many are in your household? How many are over 18? Because again, anyone over 18 will need to go through a background check. That's a safety precaution for the site that we want people to feel good about. We want to know if you have any accessibility needs, any kind of special condition that you need to be met. We also want to know about your pets. For some of you, your four-legged animals are your children. So bring them on. We want to know what you need as far as your pets. And then again, there is that background check for all household members that are over 18. And we want you to be as successful as possible. So there are always special considerations being made on a case-by-case basis. So even if you think you don't apply, I encourage you, apply. As Joe said, we will help you to see how we can make this work. So just put in an application, someone will contact you, and we'll work with you to see if we can help. Now, if you haven't already done so, we do want all those that are in HIP to have a disaster case manager, because that disaster case manager will not only help you with this process, but for all other services and the next step. So if you haven't enrolled in DCMP, call 211 and see if you can get enrolled in that and get a disaster case manager. At the end of the program, I have a team at that table, the green table, and they are here with flyers and they can help with any information you may need following this. Thank you.
We want to remind you or repeat what she just said, which is the Hale Laie on the south side is also known as the Hagai Institute. So most of us know it as Hagai, just so you know what building or what property we're talking about. Here you go, Kate.
Aloha kako. My name is Kate Blystone. I'm going to stand here for 1 minute to say hello to the people online, and then I've gotten special permission to go to the other side of the screen, but that just means people online won't be able to see me. I'm here tonight to talk about community planning, and specifically the long-term recovery plan. I am the director of the planning department, but in addition to that, I'm part of the team that's responsible for developing the long-term recovery plan, and there are many of us across the county and state and federal partners doing this work together. Specifically tonight, I'm going to talk about community engagement, and community engagement is the backbone of the long-term recovery plan. Without it, we would not be able to know all of the projects and programs we need to rebuild Lahaina. Your voice is critical to this. So for those of you who've seen me speak before, this is going to be a repeat, and I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to hear it one more time. So this is a community-driven process. That's you all. And what we're trying to create is a roadmap to recovery. And that roadmap to recovery is the long-term recovery plan. In that plan, there are programs and projects and timelines for those programs and projects. And having those in the plan leads to funding, federal funding, state funding, and also philanthropic dollars that we could access to do some of these projects and programs. So for those of you who've heard this before, I'm done with that part. Now we're talking community engagement. So this is all of the community engagement we've done that feeds into this long-term recovery plan. I'm not going to talk about every individual thing. Tonight, I'm going to focus on the neighborhood workshops and the results of those neighborhood workshops. But at a glance, we've engaged 3,038 people throughout the process across 11 activities. We've had 5 neighborhood workshops, resulting in 900 participants in those neighborhood workshops. How many of you participated in neighborhood workshops? Thank you so much for coming. We did 3 surveys and resulting in 2,700, more than 2,700 respondents. These are really critical because so many of your neighbors left after the fire, and they should have a voice in this process as well. A lot of these surveys were online, and so they could access them at any time. And we also did 190 interviews. For some people, a big meeting like the neighborhood workshops is too much to go to. So having a one-on-one conversation, especially kupuna who have a difficult time hearing, this is the best way to get their mana'o. So I'm going to talk tonight about the neighborhood workshops. We started those on April 20th in Kilauea Mauka, including Mill Camp and Kuhua Camp. Then we went to Wahikuli, and then in June, we were in Lahaina Town. Lahaina Town North, that's north of Lahaina Luna Road, and Lahaina Town South, south of Lahaina Luna Road. And then we went back and just focused on the historic and business districts. So at these workshops, we asked 2 questions. First, when Lahaina is rebuilt, what should stay the same? What should go back exactly the way it was? What was perfect? And then what should change? What wasn't working for the community? What needs to shift? And we asked those in context of these 10, and you don't have to read them now because I'm going to go into deep dive on each of them. We asked in the context of these 10 topics. The top 4, cultural and historic resources, natural resources and resiliency, public lands and community services, were specific to those areas Makai of Honoapi'ilani Highway. So those we kind of focused on that area. I'm about to get into all of the results, and I want to say one thing before I do that. In order to not put you to sleep tonight, I have made everything pretty high level. So if you don't hear your specific comment from the workshop, please know we heard it, we had it, we listened to you. It just may not show up here because we're keeping it high level just for this conversation. And when in August, I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but in August, we're going to be releasing a community engagement report. And in that report will be the raw data. So you'll be able to see with your eyes exactly what was said in each of these neighborhood workshops as it was handwritten. Plus, you'll be able to see all the data from our other activities, the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, and also the surveys that we've done. So that's the thing I wanted to say before we get into the data. Cultural and historic resources. Wow, that's really tiny. I apologize, folks. We'll get this up on the website that you can look at it more closely. Something was lost in translation. I can almost not read it. Sorry, can I get real close? So cultural and historic resources table is where we talked about the things that are important to Lahaina. There's no question that Lahaina has no shortage of cultural and historic resources. What we heard from the community, again, high level, is that there was a desire to retain the plantation style architecture and design. That we also, though, restore moku'ula, right? We heard about that a lot, again and again. We heard a call for building a multicultural museum and community center and restoring historic properties overall. So at that table, those were the things on people's minds. Natural resources and resiliency table talked about all of those things that make a community go, the raw resources that we need, but also being resilient to climate change and the other things that affect us. So restoring historic waterways, I'm going to read these all to you because you can't see this, I'm so sorry. Restore historic waterways, return control of water to the people, and remove private water ownership. That was one thing we heard. Restoring. Good. Some people said that. Increase public education on shoreline hazards and sea level rise, relocation. So if you don't want to rebuild back, use native and drought resistant plants for landscaping and streetscaping. That came up a lot. And manage non-native grasses and restore active agriculture. This was what was on people's minds at the Natural Resources and Resiliency table. We also know that there are plenty of public lands in Lahaina. Those are owned by state and county. And so we asked people, what do you want to change on those public lands? What do you want to stay the same? So there was a request for more community gathering places, also coordinating recreation and flood control in planning and design of public lands. Also, improve maintenance at the parks and the harbor. We've certainly heard that in these meetings as well. And plant native trees and plants in public lands. You're going to hear planting natives a lot. That came up a lot across multiple groups. Community services are all these important services that you need from keiki to kupuna, right? So rebuild and increase kupuna centers offering adult daycare, cultural programs, field trips, and arts. That was something on people's minds. Expand and rebuild the library. Libraries are important to this community. That came out clearly. Construct a West Side hospital and clinic. Kind of knew that was going to get some applause. So that's good. Build a community center offering kupuna activities, keiki, and youth mentoring programs. That was what was on people's minds when it came to community services. Housing, this table is self-explanatory. This is shelter, your most basic need. Provide affordable housing for residents and local workers and implement rent control. That was something that was critical to the community. Limit oversized homes and eliminate short-term vacation rentals. That came up in our workshops. Expand and subsidize kupuna housing and reduce permitting and building costs, coordinating public and private financing for rebuilding. So when it comes to housing, there was a range of things that were being discussed. Community design. This is how your community looks and feels. So when you walk down a street in Lahaina, this is what was on your mind. Continue unique architecture and small town neighborhood feel of Lahaina. We heard that loud and clear. Lahaina should feel like home for locals and then welcome visitors. That's what was important. Build parking structures. Here's an idea that came out. Build parking structures on either side of town with shuttle service into town. So getting some of the cars out of town. And build the West Maui Greenway and increase walkability and bicycle lanes, green spaces, and connect downtown with these residential areas by pedestrians, for pedestrians. Streets. So when I talk about streets, we're not just talking about the ones that the cars go on. We also are talking about streets for people, on foot, rolling, biking, etc. So no surprise, extend the Lahaina bypass beyond Keawe Street came up. There it is. I knew that was going to happen. Increase the number of evacuation routes and connect and extend streets. Specifically, Dickinson and Kuhua came up, right? This is not a surprise. Better street lighting. So this is something, better street lighting is not something that someone who doesn't live in this community every day would see or know. But because you do, now we do, especially on Lahaina Luna Road and Waine'e. And then Mauka to Makai, there was a call to widen streets, but for the purpose of adding sidewalks, while also maintaining the historic look and feel. Utilities. So these are water, power, sewer. Those are the things that we typically think of when we talk about utilities. Undergrounding power lines certainly came up. Develop resilient, okay, you can clap for that one too. Develop resilient infrastructure plans. So putting us in a position so that our utilities are resilient to climate change, shorelines, sewer, water, and infrastructure systems. Improving cell phone service so that we have that where we need it, and using technologies such as solar as an alternative power source so that if something happens with the grid, you aren't cut off, you have your own power. Public safety. So this is police, fire, all the things, all the systems that keep us safe. Improving fire mitigation and response was on people's minds. Making communication systems more resilient and increasing backup systems, making redundancies was critical. Constructing a West Side fire station and increasing the number of trained emergency responders was on people's minds for obvious reasons. And this was a big one, increasing public drills, access to maps, and basic public awareness of evacuation routes. So when something like this happens, you all know exactly what to do. Our All Thoughts Matter table is the last table I'm going to talk about. This is your miscellaneous table. This is like nothing I'm thinking about fits in any one of these buckets. We sent people to this table. Prioritizing local voices in the rebuilding of Lahaina was critical. Local voices first. Provide tax benefits and incentives to businesses that mentor youth and support community. Rebuild and improve Mala Wharf, and incentivize regenerative tourism. So those are some of the miscellaneous ideas that we heard. So what we've done now is while this was going on, we had a process going on in the background with our state partners and within the county to collect projects we thought should go into long-term recovery plan. We're looking at all the thousands and thousands of comments we got through this process and said, okay, what is missing from that list based on what you said as a community? So that together, those two processes together will create the long-term recovery plan. So let's talk about what happens next. So as I said, there will be a public engagement report in August of 2024. So next month, right? Yeah, it's still July. Yeah. Next month, by the end of next month, we will have a report for you. And in that report, we will have all the raw data. So if you want to just see what was said at every workshop, you'll be able to see it. If you want to look at the high level points, you can see that. It'll also cover everything that we've done from September to now. So you'll have all of that data available to you, plus the high level analysis. Then we're going to take everything that we've learned and put out a long-term recovery plan, a draft version of that in the fall. And in the fall, you'll get a chance to look at this and give us more feedback. So you'll be able to say, you nailed it here, and then, no, you didn't get it right here. This is completely the wrong project. Get that out of there. So we're going to be able to hear from you and make adjustments. And then that will result in the final long-term recovery plan happening in December 2024. So by the end of the year, we'll have a final plan. And anyone who's heard me speak before will hear this, will remember this. We go straight from this plan into implementation. There is no adoption process. We just go based on your comments. So this is a new process for us on Maui. I'm really excited for it. Before I stop, I just want to say mahalo to all of you for participating in this process. We could not have done what I just talked about without your voices. So thank you so much. And I'll be here all night to answer your questions. Thank you to people at home.
Okay, we're gonna do our usual, take some questions. Our team is here, whether they presented or not. I do wanna say that Joe Campos from the State Department of Human Services does have a flight to catch. So if there are questions specific for their interim housing program or whatever information, let's take those first. So raise your hand if you have a question for Joe. Okay, no Joe questions. Okay. Oh, I see one. Okay. Okay. Where's my sorry. Here they come. Thank you. Morris Haole, Cynthia Lalo.
Testing, testing.
Go ahead, Earl.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Joe. I think I asked this question one time earlier before, but now that we are getting close, a lot of our homeowners' lots are cleared. And is there any discussion about putting some of these temporary units on homeowners' properties that are cleared?
Okay, thank you. So right now, the home units that are coming in are for the projects, but there is discussion at the state level to address exactly what you raised about putting units on properties. One of the things that you have to take into consideration is if your property is large enough to receive an ADU and be able to build the home that you're building. I believe FEMA has a program as well, right? In which they're putting ADUs or modular units on properties. So, but definitely the state is looking into that as a possibility.
Yeah, so the concern we have with FEMA is those that have insurance are not in their housing program. so we don't qualify. Many of us with insurance, as well as, been taken in by Ohana, by family, by friends. So we're not in the FEMA program, but our lots are ready to get back. And so we want to get home. So yes, I understand this program is there, but we're as imminent to get home. Our insurances are getting expired. And I believe, we're just as important, actual homeowners that live on their property.
Yeah, so if you're not in the FEMA program, apply to the HIP, the Hawaii Interim Housing Program. Because even if we can't put a unit on your property, you could still be in the Kalaiola property. Okay, so if you qualify because you're not eligible for FEMA, please do apply. Okay. Any other questions?
Raise your hand if you have a question for Joe. Shannon? In the middle. Thank you.
So after you apply, about how long does it take to hear whether you qualify or not? Because I did hear that there are people that have already moved in today. So how long does it take after you apply?
Okay, and so I just wanted to clarify that the people that moved in today would have been to the old Hagai property, right? Hale'olaie. The property, Kalaiola, will start being taking people in probably around the end of August, and it'll be about 45 to 53 units, and then it'll progress through March, in which the whole 450 units will be there. Getting back to your question about how long does it take to apply, luckily I asked that question today because I thought that might be an issue. So it'll probably take about 5 to 7 days for you to get information back. Okay?
Joe, I have some online question. Let me ask the online question. We'll go to you, Jackie. What is the max number of people in one family that can be placed at Kalaiola?
So Kalaiola is specifically designed to be a community. We understood that there may be multiple people who have multi-generational ohana. And so just let us know how many people are in your family. Let me just check. Is there a bedroom count on the application? So there's a bedroom count on the application. What might happen is if you have a large extended ohana, you might be in 3 units that are in immediate proximity to each other. But so definitely there's no limit to that.
If I could just clarify, because I know the family that question is about, if it's 2 parents and 4 or more children, would you split up the parents and have 1 parent and children in 1 unit, 1 parent and children in another unit?
Yeah, so that's something that we would work with the individual families once they're deemed eligible for the program. In addition, there are some homes that are larger in square footage. So maybe a family that is in like that kind of situation would be in a larger square foot home. Okay.
Thank you, Joe. Go ahead, Jackie.
So if you are eligible for FEMA, are you ineligible for the HIP, or is it case by case?
Yeah, so again, please apply and let us help you determine your eligibility.
Here's another question for Joe. I was told the state units are for 2+ people. What about us single?
Yeah, we have studios as well as 1 bedrooms. So again, your family size is not an issue. So if you're a single individual, please apply.
Any other questions for Joe before? Okay, go ahead. Question in the front, right here. Thank you, Morris.
How many bedrooms total or maximum? In other words, what's the range of bedrooms in these units?
So we have studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom units.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go let Joe race over the pali to catch his.
No, there's a,
Oh, we have one more? Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I can handle. few more.
Good catch. Go ahead.
You had said, or I'm
Sherry.
Sherry mentioned that this was going to be at no cost through the summer of next year, which I'm sorry, but that doesn't seem very long. So is there any way of extending that? Or is it like, well, when we get to next summer, we're going to decide what happens? Or because there's a lot of people that it's going to take a lot longer to rebuild their home than that.
Yeah, so right now the governor has committed to no rent for until August 2025. I have asked the housing committee whether that's like a rolling 1 year. So say you get in March, will you then get a year or will it be to August? So we are looking at various options and I'm sure we could address things case by case on that. And then when we go to a rent type of system, it'll be nominal costs. It's not going to be anything astronomical because this is designed to help you recover.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, we'll move on to other questions. Sherry will remain here, so if there's an additional question later, we'll give that to Colonel because here's a U.S. Army Corps question for you, Colonel. Thank you, Joe. When will spring water start being pumped again for 505 French Street?
Okay, when are we gonna, I think I understand the question is when are we going to de-water, unwater 505 Front Street, which I think everyone here knows is the former parking garage downtown. We have a demolition plan in for that structure. As I mentioned last week, it is probably our most complicated complicated debris removal project lot because it is full of spring water. It is a parking garage, so it's lots and lots of concrete, and it has debris on the top deck. And it's also in some ways connected to Lahaina Shores, which is not eligible, that property itself. So it's a complicated project. Our team has a plan in place, or they've submitted a plan, and we expect to get working on it soon. The water will get pumped out, as I think maybe was the heart of the question. And we have a plan like we did in a few months ago, 5 months ago, maybe longer, when we drained the parking garage the first time. There's a pond, a settling area where we're going to pump the water to in downtown Lahaina.
Thank you, Colonel. Please raise your hand if you have a question right here behind you, Cynthia. And then we'll go to the front row. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, it's not a question, but a statement. I'm finding out that Four Leaf is taking a long time to approve permits. They've been in operation since ending of April, and I've tried to reach to Michael Kerner and ask him, how many submissions for rebuilding homes have you received? And how many that you have approved? And he didn't answer. I know a contractor who have 18 homes submitted for about 2 months or 3 months, and only one have been approved. I know an architect that have 39 plans submitted, and he has over 40 years experience of planning, and he got only 2 homes. What is happening is that Four Leaf is mandatory building code, which the Maui County Building Department does not enforce, but Four Leaf is enforcing those codes. And those codes cost more money to rebuild in Lahaina town than in Wailuku or Kahului. So I've mentioned to a lot of people about this, and to me, if Lahaina people is going to rebuild, and you got to face extra building code requirements, which the County of Maui Building Department does not enforce those codes, is discrimination against the Lahaina people. Why are they imposing these extra codes, building codes for the Lahaina people? Can I get an answer? I've talked to the county all the way up, and it seems like even the Maui County Maui County building permit department, they tell me, no, it's supposed to be the same. And they will check with 4-leaf and make sure it's the same. But that's all they said, but nothing has happened. 4-leaf is still enforcing their rules upon the people who want to rebuild homes in Lahaina, which is to me discriminatory. Because if you build a house in Wailuku, Kahului, there's no requirement. They get permits already.
Thank you, sir. 4-leaf was expected this evening. Perfect technical stage right. Mike Renner is here from 4-leaf. He's the guy that's running it. So we'll go ahead and have you respond behind you. Yeah.
Thank you. So I know I've corresponded with you a bunch via email. We spoke a lot. I know the real story of when you went to DSA and had that conversation. So what you're saying that DSA said to you is it's totally wrong and incorrect. So I don't want people to be misled. What DSA asked you for, they asked you for specific examples of what you were talking about, and those still haven't been provided. The other day you sent me an email asking about 18 projects, whether or not they were approved or not. And it was a 2-sentence email with no permit numbers, no addresses, no TMKs. So I can't do anything with that. And I'll just finish with this. We're imposing minimum code requirements. So if you have specific examples, or if the architect community has specific examples, who I meet with on a bi-weekly basis, and there's one local architect that seems to have a real problem with compliance. I don't know if he's just been doing it too long. We enforce the 2018 International Building Code and that family of codes. So I don't know what else I can tell you unless you have specific questions that I can specifically answer.
Well, there's an HBM house in Happy Valley. The plan is called Maluhia, and it's about 2,000 square feet, which the Maui County building permit approved. But today I've asked you, how many submissions have you gotten, and how many have you approved?
I believe we have 89 in review as of today, and there are 42 issued. That's the best number I can give you right now.
Yeah, but see, my contractor, he has 18 plans. He's a contractor for over 40 years, and he had only one approval. And he probably had those plans, our submission, over 2 months already. You see, 4-leaf's supposed to approve plans within 2 weeks.
So that's not accurate, right? When we get the plans in, if there's deficiencies on the plans, a letter is created and sent back to that architect. We've never sat on a plan over 10 business days. So to say it's been in our possession for 2 months is just patently wrong. And I think I know the exact architect you're talking about. And he has my phone number, my email address. I'll give him my house address. He can come over anytime he wants and have a conversation. What he's doing is complaining in the community, and he's not bringing his concerns to me. So all of this talking in circles, like there's 18 plans, I believe you. Give me the addresses, give me the permit numbers. Let me actually look into it without just kind of talking about this in vagaries in an open forum meeting, which doesn't help anybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just like I've talked to other architects besides the one we mentioned. And the submission is, they know how to submit plans to qualify for building a home, And so, but why are they faced with building codes, which I'm saying, the Maui County Building Department, Permit Department, does not enforce those codes. I've talked to Lance Nakamura, and I told him examples is because you go to mauirecovers.org and you got the problems and the solutions. And he's supposed to check to see if their Maui County themselves are enforcing those. And so far, nothing has happened.
Okay, I'm gonna let Mike answer, or Jordan, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on to other questions. Go ahead, Jordan.
Again, so Jordan Molina, Director at Public Work. Mike works for me. The situation described was the situation before the fire. We don't get a lot of good plans, just to be frank. There is hardly any architect that gets through the first time. And so with the new codes that just got adopted, they also have to learn the new codes as well. And so Mike is just getting that on a faster track because he came in at the time the codes changed and with the surge from the rebuilds. So we are not enforcing different codes. There's new code in place that was recently adopted. And we push the architects to make sure their submittals are good so we can approve them. But this is an ongoing issue that we fight with them regularly pre-fire. Thank you.
Okay, and our team will be here after if you want to talk more. I see a front row here.
Hang on.
Oh, Mayor.
So I'm Rick Bisson, and Jordan works for me. I think this is something we should take up one-on-one. Sorry, yes, and we all work for you guys. But we should take this up later because I don't want there to be a misconception in the community right now that somehow the fact that we are breaking records by having 12 homes being rebuilt right now on Maui, right now, or the 42 he's talking about, that number is the other 30 that have already been approved and not yet started to break ground and build. And the other 80 that are sitting, that they're reviewing, I think speaks to the opposite of what the impression is, that nothing's being done, things are being sat on. I just feel like we need to correct that. That's not what's happening. And we should celebrate those that are happening because the plans were tight, they were correct, the review was tight, the approval happened, and the proof is in the fact that the walls and the roof is up. So, we should definitely work on problems. If we have problems with either communication or getting the word across, that's on us. We can help with that. But the people that are helping right now in the community, they really are helping, and that's really the story that we should be talking about. If there's a legitimate concern about they're not enforcing it in Wailuku, they're only enforcing it in Lahaina, it's completely the opposite. It is completely the opposite. We're doing everything we can to speed up the Lahaina and the cooler builds. Everything we can. That's why we hired a vendor and brought these guys over here to do this so they could just review that. That's the proof right there. Everybody else on Maui still got to go through regular permitting. Everybody else on Maui. But you folks got the shorter line because you deserve it. But I just want to say these guys really shouldn't be catching scoldings or cracks, because if people have concerns, they should bring it to me, they should bring it to Jordan, they shouldn't bring it to them. Come see us and tell us what's happening, and we'll correct it. No, we're going to take it up after. Happy to talk with you more, but let's move on to the next. Somebody else has a
So
question.
we have 4 on queue right in the front. Morris and Cynthia, we have 2 ladies patiently waiting there. If you raise your hand, they can see you, both of you. Okay. And then Kim, go ahead, ma'am.
So my question is about Lahaina Luna Road being closed. So it's supposed to be Honopilani Highway 30. It's supposed to be open August 1st in anticipation of the schools being open. So this means that artery will be cut off to the 3 schools, and how, if they're coming to Lahaina on the lower road and they split up by Oluwalu, then they're just going to merge together again at Kiavi Street. Is that what's going to happen?
Jordan, do you want to come answer? And Morris, there's 2 right on the top side there, and then Cynthia, Kim, got it. Jordan?
I apologize. Sorry, can we give me one more time the rundown, because I was having a sidebar with Mayor.
Okay.
You just blame Mayor.
The road is closed, from Mill Street, down. And so when the road opens, August 1st, so that we can start feeding the schools, because the teachers come back on the 30th, They're gonna split up at Oluwalu. Some are gonna be able to come down to Highway 30, and the others are gonna stay on the bypass, but they're gonna all have to get back together again and go up Chiavi because they won't be able to go up Lahaina Luna Road because it's closed.
Yeah, thank you. So unfortunately, with the situation with the smokestack, our ability to provide access through Lahaina Road is impacted. And so really the only option now is what we had before, where you got to go up the bypass and connect through the upper connection off the bypass to Lahaina Luna Road to get up to the schools. So unfortunately, we cannot provide that relief at this time. But we still have the highway opening on the 1st, so at least we can split the load on that bypass and hopefully make things a little bit more easy. But yeah, unfortunately, because of the situation, you're not going to get that service on Lahaina Luna Road up to the school. And so that's why we're looking at trying to see what those alternate routes we can put into place sooner than later to provide that relief. Yeah, thank you.
Jordan, can you stay there before we jump there? With the road opening on the 1st, is that a through road traffic? Is it just point A to point B, get through? Can people use that road for access into town?
MEMA's still working as far as the checkpoints that'll be accommodated, but the intent is that it's going to be a through road. A lot of the traffic signals are still not operational, so we don't want to have traffic feeding onto those side streets and having to try and get back onto the highway. So the intent is to just get traffic through and try and alleviate the bottlenecks on Kiave.
Thank you, Jordan. We'll go to the top, Morris.
So I just wanted to say to the man from Four Leaf, is he still here?
He's still here. Where did he go, though?
Because what I was wondering is, I've noticed a lot of people that, they talk about submitting for projects, but then it's not complete. And so, when these guys hire people to review projects, there is information on the website, on the county website, that's super clear. There's a checklist of construction items. There's examples of drawings, and it's really easy to maybe put up a screen at the Four Leaf. I don't know if there's correlation between what's going on. I'm going to go down to Four Leaf and check it out because I have about 20 projects I have to submit. But for me, I can see clearly what needs to be submitted to be complete. So I don't know who these architects are that you're talking to, but maybe they need to check the website and see what's on there.
Okay, thank you for that. Morris, woman right there in the brown, then we'll go to Kim. We'll take those two first. Following Kim, I see Kaliko's hand up. And Cynthia, a whole bunch on the side.
Hi there. First, I just want to thank Four Leaf. You guys are doing an amazing job. Everybody at your office is so nice, so helpful. They don't have the answer. They go and get the answer. And that's what a lot of us need to start doing, is don't just tell these people here you don't know. Go find the answer. Second off, my question is for Kate. It's great that we were going to rebuild Lahaina, but these people sitting here right now, we are all homeowners. We need you to get the SMAs figured out. And I've come here for 6 weeks and we've heard, we've talking to the attorney. What is the deadline for the attorneys to get you an answer? Why didn't you give them one? I don't want to rebuild Lahaina until these people, all of us, are in our homes. That's a priority first. And then you can rebuild Lahaina. And it's very frustrating to come here. You have 3 people or 4 people in your office. You'd give us your phone number, and the phone rings and rings and rings. They're on one call for 40 minutes. They can't get all the calls. I know you're understaffed. We get that. But we need you to come here and give these people an answer on their MSAs. And if you've had a property for 5 years and you can get your permits and they have an SMA, you guys need to approve it, because it goes along with the permit within 5 years. We have to get all of us in our homes first. And I'm sorry, but I just want you to know that that should be your priority.
Thank you for your comment and for your question. You're right. It's frustrating for me as well that we aren't done with the SMA rules and the shoreline rules. I do have confirmation that they are going to be done by the end of the week. I talked to the attorney today. I don't get to give the attorney a deadline. I rushed it. I worked as quickly as we could. I will say that we have existing shoreline and SMA rules. If you want to submit today, you absolutely can. And there's some myth that happened a long time ago, likely, I think before I even started, that said you had to wait for these new rules, and that is just not true. We have an existing SMA process. We have an existing shoreline process. So you can submit today. You can. And I'm working with my staff to get everything done as quickly as we can. Lahaina is our priority in the planning department, and we're working as quickly as we can. I will say that my SMA team, my environmental team, half of them went out with COVID. Like, this is the kind of thing that we're facing. So we're doing the best we can, and I know this is frustrating. It's really frustrating for me too, because it doesn't feel good to stand up here every week and tell you they're coming, and then they're not coming. But today I got confirmation from our lawyers that they'll be signed. But in the meantime, so when they're signed, that starts the clock for 30 days. So because of the way the rules were signed or were written by the Planning Commission, 30 days is the window between signature and action, the way that they, them being, I don't know, what's the word? No, 30 days is before they take effect. Thank you. Gosh, wow. Tired, sorry. So within that window, though, you can still be submitting under the old rules. So we have rules in place, you still can apply. So I just want to say that one more time for folks who are wondering, and I am sorry. We are working as fast as we can.
Thank you, Kate. We'll go to Kim here and then the front row here to my right. Go ahead, Kim, and then Kaliko.
Yeah, our family is one of the 12 families that received their building permit, and I found out this morning they're going to pour our foundation on Saturday. So thank you, Ford Leaf, for what you've done. This question is for Colonel Swenson. From a community member who helped with the state archivist to retrieve some documents from King Kamehameha Third Elementary. He was saying that there's one building left intact, and he was wondering if that is going to remain or if you're going to remove that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. There is one building that is intact. I think 2 palm trees. I think that's it. And that those both those trees and the one building will be remain intact. Because the building was not impacted by the fire, it was not eligible for our program. But the rest of it is currently under debris removal process right now, and we're hopeful that it'll be completed in the next couple of weeks. If you've from Lahaina, you probably went to school there, so it's a fairly large complex. But we are working really, really efficiently and in concert with the State Historic Preservation Division and local cultural monitors to do this respectfully and efficiently for the community. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Colonel. So you don't get to pass the microphone for our people only because I know you cannot see the other people raising their hand and waiting.
I'll wait.
But thank you for your initiative. You're going to wrestle with Cynthia Lalo. We're going to go here to these women who have been patiently waiting, and then we'll go back up that side. Go ahead, ma'am.
It's nice to know that they're going to open the highway up on August 1st, but I live just off of Shaw Street. I have blessed my house survived the fire. It was damaged. Repairs have been made. I have moved back into it, and I have had no problem for several months going through the front street checkpoint to get to my home. As Morris can attest, I was at the County Resource Center yesterday, and again today. And when I left today and I went to that checkpoint, I was told I had to go around to Puamana. Nobody ever told me that before, and he would not let me through. I'm sorry, I'm going to Safeway. I'm going to the post office. To add any additional traffic to that bypass that doesn't need to be added to it is stupid. And anybody who is stopping anybody from going through either of the residential checkpoints to get to their home needs to get some new instructions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure that was heard really well. And we're going to check with our checkpoint folks. Go ahead. I know you had one.
Okay, just wanted to kind of frame my question. This is about Kahoma Village. Now, this is to the planning and to the mayor. The mayor had said in a previous meeting that Kahoma Village would be fast-tracked. We know Kahoma Village is workforce housing as well as market rate housing, right? So we want to get people in, and my mom is going to be 84 years old. She's exhausted her insurance money. She owns her own place in Kahoma, and we want to know what the hell is happening. We're supposed to be fast-tracked. We get information from the HOA last night saying the SMA is holding us up. Why? Why are we not fast-tracked? As you had said previously, that Kahoma was going to be the kind of poster child to get this stuff done. And I got my mom sitting trying to pay rent, paying mortgage, HOA fees are going up. Why are we stopped yet again in our tracks? Why can't we start building? We have a contractor ready to start August 23rd to build. And the county is saying, no, we need your SMA. Well, the county now won't give us an SMA. Why? Why?
Thank you for that. Looks like Kate's holding on to that. And then from here, we'll go back up there.
Thank you for your question. So my deputy, Anna Lillis, is working very closely with the team with Kahoma Village to figure out a path forward. She's not here tonight, and I haven't talked with her recently about this project, so I feel a little uncomfortable answering that question based on what might be old information. So what I will say to you, though, is I suspect there's an opportunity for us to come talk to your homeowners association and talk through the issue that's coming up and why this is slowing down. I don't want to have that conversation tonight this way, mostly because I don't know what the latest is from her. But if you would invite us, allow us to come to your HOA meeting, we'd be happy to talk more with you about it, if that would be all right.
It's fine, but you know, the talk is the talk, right? We need to see some action. We've got people, you could get 25 families back in their houses if you rebuild these villas. We are ready to go, right? We have the money, we have the contractor, we have a date set for construction, and now 2 days ago we're told, sorry, you're dead in the water. And my mom is old. I mean, she needs to get back into the house.
I think you've made your point. I think you've made your point. Let me just say it this way. What I told you, if that's all the words I said to you that you repeated today, I don't know if I said every one of those, but you can hold me to whatever it is I did tell you before. The information that we had at the time is not the same information that's been provided now. That's the simple way I can put it. And your architects know this because they've been in touch with us a lot. I was on a thread today that they sent me to bring me up to speed. And I'm certain by now he has explained to you some of the, I'll call them legal issues that have come up with that, the original permission you folks received to build that is what has come into issue. And it's a legal issue. It's not a planning department issue, and it's just a legal issue.
Is this the 6-acre park?
That's correct. So I'm sure they've already told you about that. That was supposed to have been put in before your homes were built. That wasn't put in, and now it's an issue. Can it go away? Yeah, there are ways. I think the planning department is working really hard, even though, you know, Kate's got her Kuleana, but Anna has hers, and she's going to talk to you about some what I think are creative ways to try to get around that so that we're not faced with further delays. You don't have to trust me on this, but I'm going to say it to you anyway. What we're trying to do is the faster way. I know you think what your folks are telling you is the faster way. Just build it. Just build it and we'll figure it out later and people get in. But that may actually be the longer way.
That's what you did before, right? We'll build the park and then the park never got built. So
I didn't have anything to do with I didn't have anything to do with whatever happened with you folks. Right. So all I'm trying to explain to you is we're trying to fix a problem that we didn't create and that's there. And yes, it's causing a holdup. So it's not them. It's not them. But we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna work out. I just wanted you to know that.
Okay, build the park.
Of course. That is
thank you.
But if you can find 6 acres in one place, and that's so we're gonna have to split up those parks. If you want to be creative in different places and seeing if that aggregate will satisfy the condition. It's not a condition we put in. It was put in at the time these places were built, and it was never satisfied. So we're going to try to do it after the fact. That's a simple answer.
Kaliko, you're up next.
Okay. I have two. I just want to know some ohana in Wahikuli, they're all starting to rebuild, obviously. And then I drive past and I look at a park that is not yet mowed. Lots of grace, but it is also around some standing homes. So as we continue to build, can we please get a lawnmower? If not, drop it off and Coach Earl will lawnmower the grass. Yes. On a serious note, this one is, it's just some clarity for Kate. Kate, you had a screen up there that says that we've got the feedback and we're gonna go through it and then we're gonna submit it and bring it back in December sometime, right? And so my question is, even though that is being recapped, that is being put in its rightful place and then coming back to be presented, does that stop me in any way up at Kilauea Mauka 2? Does it stop me any way down Pau Now? Does it hold me up?
Mahalo for that question. And I should have said that while I was talking. So nothing that we're doing in the long-term recovery plan slows down the rebuild process for you all. In fact, it speeds it up because it's going to give us access to the funding we need to do these projects that are around your rebuild. So just so you know that nothing about the long-term recovery plan slows anything down at all.
I see a hand right there next to you, Cynthia. And then Jackie has another question. Go ahead.
So
Morris, right
kind
there.
of along the lines of what you're just talking about, Kate, it seems like people are wondering if the rules are going to change and they can't submit. But what I've been telling people is, why don't you just submit and then the county will give you a comment letter. And if there's some kind of rule that you need to address, then you'll know then. But it seems like people are just not doing it because they're waiting for you or, you know, Jordan or Aaron or someone to say something like, oh, the setback is going to be this on Front Street, or, oh, your road is going to get wider and you need to put parking along the road. But you can always do that sequentially or together or, you know, as one complete motion in the community plan. So I think people don't realize that they're trying to just do one little portion and submit that for themselves. And yeah, just go ahead and submit. You'll get a comment letter. But what they're working on is the 10,000 foot elevation where they're going to tell you what the grand scheme, and that has to do with the historical, you know, buildings and all kinds of other things that are big deals. But your houses, you guys should just hurry up and submit.
Thank you. Appreciate that comment. There's a question at the top, and then I'm going to do an online. Jackie, then to the top, and then online, and we're actually going to wrap up for this evening. Jackie.
So mine's for FEMA. Also, I just want to shout out Kate. I feel like she's taken a lot of flack tonight, but she worked really hard for us yesterday to push that through. So mahalo. So I'm wondering, people in the direct lease program it's kind of starting to go crazy about recertification. And I think that people may have been informed about a process. I don't think they were told the name, but when they were first moving. But I think what FEMA maybe misses is that when they were moving was like a really traumatic time because they were like pushed out of the hotel, like, hey, you have 24 hours to move, like get your stuff and go. And so if you could go over like what the recertification process is and how that works and like how survivors are supposed to show that they're looking for housing in a market where we have no housing, I think that would be really helpful.
Yes, thank you for that question. I have Brian Bowie here. He is our individual assistance branch director deputy. He'll kind of go through the process for you. It's specifics for recertification, correct?
Brian, right into the microphone.
Thank you for your question. As it relates to recertification of the direct lease program, it's a monthly visit by the recertification advisor, and they're there to inquire about your permanent housing plan. We want to work with the DCM, the local VOADs, the LTRGs, and the organizations to help you achieve your permanent housing plan. As it relates to looking for rentals, it could be, we are bending the rules slightly for this disaster. It's only one resource per recertification, and as it relates to showing that you are progressing towards your permanent housing plan, it could be saving for a down payment, saving for a security deposit, applying for a housing lottery, anything that moves the needle towards that permanent housing plan. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a rental resource. It can be anything that helps progress towards that plan.
Okay, that makes sense. I appreciate it. I'm also wondering if folks have been informed if they're going to the group site. Like, I know of someone who we basically told FEMA, like, stop trying to put us into direct lease because they are not going to accept us because of this dog. So please just let us know, like, officially, hey, we're going to be in the group site. And so it stopped being talked about. But I don't think that's really the situation for other people. So could you talk about that?
Sure, it's going to be on a case-by-case scenario. I can definitely look into your specific case or anyone else's specific case. We do have Janet and another individual assistance person that can assist. But as it relates to if you're already in a direct lease solution, or we're talking about in general or just for you? I'm sorry? If you're waiting for a group site, you will be remaining in the group, in the hotel until a solution can be found. Have you been told that?
Have others been told that?
I don't know about any particular other households. Definitely call your caseworker and we can work it out. But if we're unable to match you to a direct lease unit, you will be remaining in the hotel program.
Thank you, Brian. Before we go to the last question up there, I'm going to take this online one. Who should I contact to have a dead mango tree near my property removed? Who knows that? Okay, there we go. Colonel?
I love talking about trees. I do. I'm a tree guy and a woodworker. So if you have a dead mango tree on your property, like, I guess the question would be, where's the tree located? Is it really on your property or is it in a right of way? So along the edge of a road, a highway. So we need to know that information. And if it's on your property, was your property eligible for personal property debris removal or what we're calling commercial property debris removal, the two debris removal programs that we are executing under the authority of FEMA. So I can't answer your question specifically, but if after this, if you want to come, find a red shirt or find me, give me the location of the tree, certainly we'll go out and take a look at it. If it has a blue dot on it, that means it was assessed early on as being a tree that needed to be removed, and it just hasn't been removed yet. We haven't forgotten at it. All those trees are marked, inventoried, but we've got thousands of trees, and we're making progress, but it's a big problem. So.
Colonel, the question came online and it says near my property.
Yeah, so I guess I would say on the Maui Recovers website, if you scroll down, there's a phone number for the Army Corps of Engineers help desk, call center. Call that number, tell us your name, your phone number, and the location of the tree, nearest cross street. We'll come out there and meet you. We'll look at the tree and we'll help you determine whether it's eligible or not. If it's not, we do have other resources. We can work with the county arborist. If it's on a state road, we work with the state arborist. And if it's truly dead, it's a public health hazard and it's generally in the best interest of everyone to remove it. So we will do everything we can within our authorities to have the tree removed.
Thank you, Colonel.
But my chainsaw is not here, so I can't personally take it down.
Thank you, Colonel. We'll take our last question. We've been at it for a couple of hours, and I do want to say next week, we'll have someone here who is wanting to donate to property owners who can take them some legacy Lahaina Hayden mango trees. Ooh, wow, okay, that's a big one. So they will be here next week to offer that service to you. Okay, go ahead. Question at the top.
Okay, my question is for Jordan, maybe, or for Leaf. Is there a new code your house can be from the highway now? Is it 15 feet, 6 feet?
That is more of a Kate question. The setback matter, that's a zoning issue. That's not within the building code, which Public Works handles.
I would have to know what your TMK is and what your zoning is to answer that question. So I can't tell you.
So it matters on the property.
Yeah, it depends on what your zoning is. So the setbacks are established in zoning. So
Small properties would have a problem.
say that again.
Small property would have a problem.
Potentially. It just depends. I mean, it just depends on what your zoning says. And then we have some flexibility as well. So call the planning department. I don't have the zoning enforcement number memorized the way I do current, but if you come talk to me afterwards, I'll make sure that I can get it to you.
We're fine. I just asking that question because our contractor told us that he didn't even know. So I don't know if anybody else should know that, so they didn't run into the problems.
Hold on, let me get my phone and figure out the zoning enforcement number. 1 second. Real time. Thank you. One finger is really hard. Okay, it's 270-7253. Is that what you said? 270-7253. That's our zoning enforcement. And just say you have a question about your setbacks and they'll put you through to the right person. All right.
Okay, I have a last announcement here from the American Lung Association of Hawaii. If you have been affected by the fires, West Maui or upcountry, and have someone in your household who has a lung issue, you're encouraged to apply for a free air purifier from the American Lung Association. It's through a grant-funded program. They've already assisted some folks. They have about 50 left. So you can please call the American Lung Association office. Thank you, everybody. We will be here to help you with further questions. Drive safely. Aloha.